Rebecca Martinez was a young police officer in Texas, known for her unwavering commitment to the rules and her steadfast dedication to justice. From a small town, she grew up inspired by her father, who served as a sheriff's deputy for over 2 decades. His example taught her that being a police officer was not just a job, but a responsibility to protect those who could not protect themselves and to uphold integrity no matter the circumstances. If this story speaks to you, please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, drop a comment sharing where you're tuning in from. I'd love to hear from you. Make sure to stay with us until the very end, as there are surprising twists you won't want to miss. Rebecca's approach to law enforcement was methodical and respectful. She earned the admiration of her peers through her professionalism and her ability to defuse tense situations without compromising her principles. Her career was marked by a strong work ethic, an empathetic attitude, and a clear sense of right and wrong, which shaped her personal and professional identity. She aimed to serve with dignity and to be a voice of fairness in an often unforgiving world. This foundation would soon face a test that would challenge everything she had come to believe. Rebecca Martinez's steadfast approach to her career soon collided with a harsh reality when her direct supervisor, Captain Williams, began making unwelcome advances. Williams, a seasoned officer with decades of influence and a reputation for bending situations his way, viewed Rebecca's polite but firm refusals as a challenge to his authority. After Rebecca rejected his repeated propositions, Williams retaliated by making her professional life increasingly difficult. He assigned her to the most undesirable shifts, handed her the most dangerous calls, and scrutinized her reports with unwarranted suspicion. The subtle pressures soon escalated to a confrontational meeting in his office, where Williams implied that her career progression depended on cooperation with him. When Rebecca steadfastly refused and threatened to report his misconduct, he coldly warned that she was making a grave mistake. Shortly afterward, Rebecca received transfer orders. Officially, the move to a maximum security prison 3 hours outside Dallas was due to staffing requirements. But Rebecca knew it was punitive, a consequence of standing up to her supervisor's abuse of power. Instead of inciting a fight that might jeopardize her future further, she accepted the reassignment with grace, ready to face the new challenges ahead. Upon arriving at the maximum security correctional facility, Rebecca instantly recognized that this environment was worlds apart from the police precinct she had known. The heavy steel gates and the thick, oppressive atmosphere signaled the profound challenges she would face. This was no longer about typical law enforcement duties, but about sustaining fragile order amidst a community where despair often overshadowed hope. Her role as a corrections officer demanded a recalibrated approach. Rather than chasing down suspects or resolving public disputes, she was tasked with overseeing inmates during daily routines, escorting them between secured areas, and rigorously enforcing prison protocols. The dynamics inside the prison were shaped by an unspoken hierarchy and constant tensions, requiring Rebecca to sharpen her instincts differently. Inmates fell broadly into categories: the openly defiant who tested every limit, those beaten down by their circumstances appearing resigned, the skilled manipulators working the system to their advantage, and the quiet individuals simply enduring their sentences. Rebecca maintained consistent professionalism, treating each person with respect, but also a firm hand when necessary. She quickly learned the importance of authority balanced with restraint, knowing that escalating conflicts would only threaten safety for all. This adjustment to prison life was taxing both physically and mentally, exposing Rebecca to a harsher, grittier side of law enforcement she had yet to encounter. Behind the walls, every day was a delicate negotiation, and she had to navigate the volatile social fabric carefully to succeed. Among the many inmates Rebecca encountered, one stood apart, David Chen. Serving a 15-year sentence for corporate fraud and embezzlement, David did not fit the typical maximum security profile. Educated and composed, he carried himself with quiet dignity that commanded respect both from staff and inmates. David was known for his polite demeanor, willingness to assist others with legal paperwork, and for staying clear of trouble. Unlike the more vocal or combative inmates, he spent most of his time in the prison library, immersed in books, seeking knowledge as a refuge from his harsh reality. Rebecca first took notice of David during meal supervision, noting his calm presence contrasted against the loud and restless crowd. His respectful attitude and routine-bound behavior piqued her curiosity. Over time, subtle glimpses of deeper sorrow behind David's composed exterior began to emerge. This initial connection planted the seeds for a relationship that would grow into a shared quest for justice. During a routine inspection, Rebecca stumbled upon a carefully organized folder among David's possessions. Inside were documents, letters, and what appeared to be crucial evidence related to his conviction. When confronted, David did not deny having these materials. Instead, he looked Rebecca in the eye and told her a story that shook her to the core. That he was innocent, framed by his former employer, and that he had one final request before losing hope: to find someone on the outside who would help prove his innocence. Rebecca stood frozen, the folder trembling in her hands as the weight of the moment pressed down. Everything about the situation felt dangerous and fragile, as if one wrong move could endanger both their futures. Yet David's dignity and quiet desperation compelled her to listen. He spoke of his daughter, Emma, who had been battling leukemia during his trial and had since passed away. He had promised her he would clear his name and show her the ocean, a dream she never realized. As Rebecca absorbed the gravity of his story, she wrestled with a profound moral dilemma. Helping David meant stepping outside her duties and risking her career, and possibly more. But ignoring his plea would mean abandoning an innocent man trapped by a broken system and condemning a memory to fade unfulfilled. Torn yet resolute, Rebecca knew her next steps would define not just David's fate, but her own path forward. Aware of the risks, but driven by conviction, Rebecca began a discreet and determined investigation into David's case. She leveraged her law enforcement training and connections from before her transfer, quietly gathering information to build a clearer picture of the truth. Access to official records was limited, but Rebecca made use of the prison's limited internet during breaks, poring over court documents, news reports, and public records related to David's conviction. She reached out to journalists and former employees of the company he'd worked for, piecing together a disturbing pattern of corporate deceit and cover-ups. Behind the scenes, Rebecca cultivated allies within and outside the prison system. She maintained a delicate balance, taking care to avoid attracting undue attention while pushing forward at every opportunity. Each step carried the risk of professional repercussions or retaliation from powerful interests invested in keeping the truth hidden. Despite these challenges, Rebecca's resolve only strengthened. She understood that this covert mission could cost her dearly, but failing to act was not an option. Every discovery fueled her conviction that justice, even when delayed, must be pursued relentlessly. Through quiet persistence, she was beginning to unearth the evidence that could finally exonerate David and transform both their lives forever. Rebecca Martinez was a young police officer in Texas known for her strict adherence to rules and unwavering dedication to justice. Growing up watching her father serve as a sheriff's deputy for over 20 years, She understood that being a police officer meant more than wearing a badge. It was about protecting the vulnerable and standing firm in integrity, no matter the cost. Her professionalism and natural ability to de-escalate tense situations quickly earned her respect among colleagues and civilians alike. Rebecca built her identity on fairness and dignity, striving to be a trustworthy voice of authority in a challenging world. Once Rebecca and her allies gathered compelling evidence supporting David's innocence, they carefully orchestrated its public release. Partnering with investigative journalists and a whistleblower from within the implicated corporation, they ensured the information reached multiple major news outlets simultaneously, maximizing impact and public awareness. The revelation sparked widespread media coverage, shining a harsh spotlight on the corporation's corrupt practices and the miscarriage of justice inflicted on David. Headlines detailed the cover-up, the fraudulent evidence, and the executives responsible. Public outrage mounted as more details emerged, placing pressure on legal authorities to act swiftly. Within the prison system, the consequences were immediate. Officials launched an internal inquiry into how confidential information had been leaked, suspecting insider involvement. Rebecca found herself under scrutiny, her every move watched with suspicion. Although no official charges were laid initially, the atmosphere became tense and cautious. Yet amid the fallout, Rebecca remained undeterred, her convictions unwavering despite the risks. David's case quickly became a symbol of systemic failure and the power of determined advocacy. As the media frenzy unfolded, support poured in from unexpected quarters. While retaliation and bureaucratic roadblocks persisted, the surge in public and legal attention ultimately paved the way for David's exoneration and the beginning of a new chapter for both him and Rebecca. Motivated by David's story and the evidence she uncovered, Rebecca took a bold step and helped establish the Rebecca Chen Foundation, named in honor of David's late daughter. This organization aimed to support children battling serious illnesses, especially those facing the compounded difficulties of family legal troubles. Transitioning from her role as a corrections officer, Rebecca embraced the mantle of advocate, channeling her investigative skills into creating tangible change for vulnerable families. The foundation provided financial assistance, legal advocacy, and emotional support, building a network dedicated to lifting those caught between medical crises and the complexities of the justice system. This new purpose gave Rebecca a profound sense of fulfillment. It transformed her understanding of justice from enforcing rules within constrained systems to actively shaping hope and healing in the lives of others. Working closely with David and community partners, she found that helping others heal was a calling beyond any badge or uniform, marking a defining new chapter in her life. The Rebecca Chen Foundation quickly grew from a hopeful initiative into a beacon of support for families grappling with the dueling challenges of serious illness and legal hardship. With Rebecca's tireless efforts and David's unwavering commitment, the foundation began assisting numerous families, providing financial aid, navigating complex legal and medical systems, and offering emotional support to those in crisis. Through their work, Rebecca witnessed profound transformations, not just in the lives they touched, but in David himself. What had started as a broken man consumed by grief and wrongful imprisonment evolved into a passionate advocate, determined to give purpose to his pain by helping others who face their own battles. The foundation's success was measured not only in the tangible help provided, but in the restored hope and resilience of families who once felt abandoned. For Rebecca and David, this shared mission created a renewed sense of meaning and belonging, marking a powerful chapter in their journey toward justice, healing, and change. As the foundation flourished, a new and daunting challenge emerged. A renewed legal battle demanding David's testimony against the corporate forces that had destroyed his life. Authorities, emboldened by the evidence and public pressure, sought to prosecute key executives, but crucial witnesses were hesitant or missing, fearing retaliation. David faced a heart-wrenching decision: to re-enter the courtroom and relive the trauma of his wrongful conviction, or step away from the fight and protect himself and the Foundation's fragile progress. With Rebecca's unwavering support, he resolved to stand strong, recognizing that his voice was vital not only for his own justice, but for preventing future abuses. The trial was grueling. David confronted hostile lawyers intent on discrediting him, while Rebecca worked tirelessly behind the scenes to prepare him, coordinate security, and maintain the Foundation's momentum. Day after day, David recounted the corruption, shedding light on the systemic rot that had ensnared him and countless others. Their combined efforts culminated in a landmark victory: convictions, reforms, and renewed hope for those caught in similar webs of injustice. This final battle cemented their legacy, proof that courage, resilience, and determination can challenge even the most entrenched corruption and bring truth to light. As their journey approached a pivotal moment, Rebecca and David faced the ultimate test of their resolve. The renewed legal battle demanded David's courage to testify against the powerful corporate figures responsible for his wrongful conviction and the systemic corruption he endured. Preparing for this high-stakes trial required Rebecca to balance multiple roles: protecting David from threats, coordinating with federal prosecutors, and maintaining the Foundation's mission. The courtroom became a battleground where David recounted the intricate web of deceit, corporate malfeasance, and the devastating impact on innocent lives. Despite intense opposition from defense attorneys aiming to discredit him and undermine his credibility, David's unwavering testimony, supported by the robust evidence and the Foundation's backing, ultimately led to convictions and reforms. This vital victory symbolized the tireless fight against injustice and reinforced the power of resilience and truth. The trial marked not an end, but a milestone, proof that determined individuals, united by purpose and principle, can confront entrenched corruption and shine a light of justice that reaches far beyond a single case. Rebecca and David emerged transformed, emboldened to continue their work advocating for those without a voice and fighting to prevent future wrongful convictions. Rebecca Martinez was a dedicated police officer from a small Texas town, where she was inspired by her father's long career as a sheriff's deputy. She embraced the core values of integrity, respect, and service to others from an early age. Known for her commitment to the rules and her calm, professional demeanor, Rebecca earned the trust of colleagues and civilians by always standing firm for justice and fairness in every situation. Her career was marked by a deep sense of responsibility and a belief that being a police officer meant protecting those who could not protect themselves. Rebecca's dedication and refusal to tolerate inappropriate conduct set her on a collision course with her supervisor, Captain Williams. When she declined his unwanted advances, the reaction was swift and vindictive. She faced unjust treatment, being assigned punishing shifts, given hazardous calls, and having her professional reports questioned without cause. The intimidation escalated until a tense meeting where Williams made it clear her career relied on her submission, a manipulation Rebecca firmly resisted. Soon after, Rebecca was reassigned to a maximum security correctional facility far from familiar grounds. Officially a staffing decision, it was an unmistakable punitive measure designed to sideline her for standing against misconduct. Accepting the transfer without public conflict, Rebecca prepared herself for a new chapter fraught with challenges unknown, but confronted with quiet strength and resolve. Rebecca's transition from police officer to corrections officer was marked by a steep learning curve and profound challenges. Unlike patrol work, the prison environment was defined by enclosed spaces, constant surveillance, and an ever-present undercurrent of tension. She quickly realized that the skills that served her on the streets required adaptation. Reading inmates' subtle cues, understanding complex social hierarchies, and maintaining authority without escalating situations unnecessarily. The job demanded resilience, patience, and a heightened awareness of safety for both officers and inmates. Rebecca grappled with the psychological toll of constant exposure to trauma, from witnessing violence to managing individuals in deep despair. Overcrowding, understaffing, and resource limitations compounded daily stresses, heightening risks and stretching her capabilities. Despite these obstacles, Rebecca applied the same integrity and professionalism that defined her earlier career. She embraced continuous learning, building rapport with inmates without compromising security, and developing strategies to diffuse conflicts before they erupted. This adjustment was demanding, but it sharpened her empathy and resolve, values that would fuel the transformative journey yet to come. Among the many inmates Rebecca encountered, one quietly stood out: David Chen. Serving a lengthy sentence for corporate fraud, David defied usual prison stereotypes. He carried himself with a composed dignity that intrigued Rebecca from their earliest interactions. Unlike many inmates, he was polite, respectful, and helpful to both staff and fellow prisoners, often dedicating his time to reading and assisting others with legal matters. Rebecca first noticed David during routine supervision. While others around were loud or restless, David maintained a calm presence, engrossed in books or his notes. There was a subtle sadness in his eyes, a depth that hinted at a story beyond the cell walls. Through their initial conversations and observations, Rebecca sensed a profound burden David bore quietly, a sense that would soon draw them into a shared journey, seeking truth and justice. During a routine inspection of David's belongings, Rebecca uncovered a meticulously kept folder filled with letters, documents, and significant evidence related to his case. Confronting David about it, she was struck by his composed admission that he was innocent and had been framed by his former employer. He confided that he clung to hope through a final wish, to have someone on the outside champion his cause and reveal the truth. This discovery thrust Rebecca into a profound moral quandary, as she realized the depths of injustice David had suffered and the potential cost of taking up his fight. The weight of this evidence marked the turning point for Rebecca, setting her on a path that would demand courage, sacrifice, and a steadfast commitment to justice. Faced with the stark evidence of David's possible innocence, Rebecca grappled with a heavy moral dilemma. Assisting an inmate, especially one convicted in a high-profile case, placed her career and even personal freedom at risk. Yet, her commitment to justice and empathy for David's plight compelled her to act. Secretly, Rebecca launched an investigation beyond her official duties. She used limited resources and discreetly gathered information from court records, news archives, and public sources. Reaching out to journalists and former employees connected to David's case, she began unraveling a web of corruption and cover-up surrounding his conviction. Navigating this covert path required caution and resilience. Rebecca balanced the dangers of exposure while pursuing the truth, fully aware that those implicated wielded significant power. Each discovery strengthened her resolve and deepened her sense of responsibility, not just to David, but to a larger fight against injustice and systemic failings. Rebecca, David, and their allies orchestrated a carefully coordinated effort to expose the corruption behind David's wrongful conviction. Collaborating closely with investigative journalists and a courageous whistleblower from inside the implicated corporation, they simultaneously released a trove of compelling evidence to major news outlets. The revelations detailed a pattern of manipulation, falsified documents, and systemic cover-ups that had jeopardized countless lives. Media coverage ignited public outrage, prompting law enforcement and judicial authorities to respond with urgent investigations. The pressure mounted as corporate executives faced scrutiny and the facade of innocence began to crumble. Within the prison system, the leak of sensitive information sparked internal probes, with Rebecca herself coming under watchful eyes. Despite the accusations, the collective effort laid bare a deep injustice and galvanized broader support for reform. This strategic exposure turned David's fight into a public cause, garnering the attention necessary to challenge deeply entrenched corruption and ultimately clearing the path for his exoneration. Their work highlighted the power of solidarity, courage, and determined advocacy in achieving justice. In the wake of David's exoneration efforts, Rebecca and David channeled their grief and determination into founding the Emma Chen Foundation, named to honor David's late daughter. This foundation was dedicated to supporting children facing severe illnesses, especially those whose families were burdened by legal and financial hardships. The foundation worked tirelessly to provide assistance, from financial aid for treatments to navigating complex healthcare and legal systems. Rebecca's law enforcement skills equipped her to cut through bureaucratic red tape, while David's personal experience brought empathy and insight to the cause. Together, they transformed tragedy into a mission focused on hope, healing, and advocacy for those often left voiceless. This new calling marked a profound shift from Rebecca's previous roles, redefining her sense of justice, not merely as law enforcement, but as active compassion and support for vulnerable communities. Their combined passion and dedication sowed the seeds for lasting change in the lives of countless families. The Emma Chen Foundation steadily expanded its reach, growing into a vital resource for families coping with the intersecting challenges of illness and legal difficulties. With Rebecca's expertise and David's heartfelt dedication, they provided tangible aid, funding treatments, offering legal guidance, and connecting families to crucial support networks. For David, this work marked a profound personal transformation. The man once crushed by wrongful conviction and grief now emerged as a passionate advocate, channeling his pain into purpose and hope. The foundation became a living tribute to Emma's memory, empowering countless families and creating ripples of positive change throughout the community. Together, Rebecca and David found renewed meaning and resilience, proving that even in the face of immense adversity, compassion and determination could rebuild lives and restore faith in justice. With the foundation firmly established and growing, a new and formidable challenge awaited David and Rebecca, a fresh legal battle necessitating David's testimony to dismantle the corporate corruption responsible for his wrongful conviction. This endeavor carried immense risks, including personal safety threats and the potential disruption of the foundation's progress. Despite these dangers, David's resolve was unshaken. Supported unwaveringly by Rebecca, he chose to face the courtroom once more, determined to expose the truth. The trial tested him emotionally and mentally as hostile defense attorneys sought to undermine his credibility and paint him as a disgruntled ex-employee. Rebecca's role extended beyond the courtroom. She coordinated security, liaised with prosecutors, and ensured the foundation's ongoing operations did not falter. David's testimony, fortified by comprehensive evidence and heartfelt advocacy, ultimately led to convictions of the corrupt executives and ushered in critical reforms. This victory underscored their journey, a testament to courage, resilience, and the transformative power of standing against injustice, no matter the obstacles. It marked not an end, but a milestone in their collective mission to advocate for truth and justice for all. The journey that Rebecca and David embarked upon culminated in profound changes both personally and within the broader society. For Rebecca, the path transformed her understanding of justice, moving beyond enforcing rules to actively championing compassion and truth. Her sacrifices, from risking career stability to confronting systemic obstacles, reflected an unwavering commitment to doing what was right, no matter the cost. David's story, marked by tragedy and resilience, inspired a new generation to believe in the power of hope, redemption, and advocacy. The Emma Chun Foundation became a testament to the lasting legacy of Emma's memory, a beacon of support for families caught in the crossfire of illness and injustice. Their ongoing mission continues to foster change, audibly reminding society that justice is not a static ideal, but an evolving pursuit requiring courage, empathy, and collective action. In honoring a daughter lost too soon, Rebecca and David created a future where no one walks alone, and the fight for truth remains relentless and alive.